Something happens when a woman ages that society refuses to name directly. We cushion it with euphemisms: maturity, grace, wisdom. These are polite masks covering a reality that thinkers across history observed with uncomfortable honesty. Beneath the soft words lies a biological and psychological truth. Cesare Lombroso, the infamous Italian criminologist, spoke with a bluntness few modern ears can bear. He wrote that women, in their essence, were more jealous, more vindictive, and more dangerous than men, and that these traits became sharper as age stripped away beauty. Beauty, he argued, was a veil. It concealed the primal machinery of female psychology. Youth softened what time would eventually reveal. Once the veil dissolved, instincts long hidden by radiance rose to the surface. Intelligent men, those who look past surface illusions, recognize this long before it becomes obvious. They sense the underlying structure, the invisible architecture of desire and desperation, and they adjust their choices accordingly. They do not bind themselves to women who will one day rage against their own fading reflection. Consider what youth offers. For nearly 2 decades, from her late teens into her 30s, a woman's life is buoyed by the constant storm of male attention. Compliments fall upon her like rain, invitations to dinners, stolen glances, lingering stares across crowded rooms. Each gesture reaffirms her worth. This attention is not casual. It shapes her very identity. It becomes her fuel, the atmosphere she breathes. The tragedy is that she rarely sees this for what it is. She mistakes the glow of male desire for her own eternal light. She believes the smiles and offerings will last forever, as though they were qualities of her soul rather than reactions to her body. And then, almost overnight, silence arrives. The storm of desire turns into drought. The glances that once followed her every movement disappear. Younger rivals emerge, drawing the orbit of attention away from her. Compliments dry up, invitations shrink, and what was once her constant air becomes thin. That silence is unbearable. It is not merely social, it is chemical. The body responds with panic, hormones rebel. What was once easy validation now feels like oxygen cut off. Lombroso insisted that with age, jealousy intensifies, insecurity sharpens. The hunger for external validation becomes not weaker, but stronger as its sources dry up. A younger woman may crave attention out of vanity, but an older woman craves it out of survival, and this difference makes her psychology more dangerous. Intelligent men know this instinctively. They understand that no amount of loyalty, no measure of devotion can satisfy a hunger rooted in what strangers no longer offer. The stability of marriage cannot replace the unpredictable thrill of being chosen by men who owe her nothing. And because of this, she becomes restless, volatile, driven by a need that devotion alone cannot fulfill. At 25, her laughter feels genuine, her sweetness seems real, her loyalty appears unshakable. But these qualities are not constants. They are conditions. They are sustained by the endless supply of attention guaranteed by beauty. When the supply ends, when the currency of beauty devalues, the qualities shift. Lombroso described this shift in his studies of female criminality. He observed how women deprived of validation turned inward destructively, sometimes violently. He called it atavism, the re-emergence of primitive instincts once restrained by youth and fertility. To the casual eye, this looked like midlife crisis or emotional instability. To him, it was biology unmasked. Think of it this way. What many men experience as a shocking betrayal, his wife suddenly restless, suddenly bitter, suddenly distant, is not betrayal of him, it is betrayal of reality itself. The mask of youth falls, and what was hidden beneath emerges with sharpened teeth. The intelligent man recognizes this early. He sees the conditions. He understands that the loyalty he admires is not eternal, but contingent on the storm of attention that youth provides. And so he does not build his life on a foundation he knows time will erode. This is where the asymmetry becomes brutal. Men and women age differently, not just in biology, but in perception. Society tells the 40-year-old man that his best years are ahead. His wisdom, his resources, his growing influence. These amplify his worth. His silver hair becomes distinction. His experience becomes magnetism. For the 40-year-old woman, society whispers the opposite. She is told her value is behind her, that she is invisible, that she has expired. Lombroso did not see this as cultural cruelty. He saw it as nature's logic. A man accumulates, compounds, expands. A woman whose foundation of worth was external desire diminishes when that desire fades. The man gains authority with years. The woman loses relevance with them. The intelligent man understands this. He is not seduced by slogans that insist both genders age equally. He sees the asymmetry play out in daily life. He notices how men his age command more attention, while women his age demand it with growing desperation. He knows that investing his future into a woman who is at war with time itself is like anchoring his house to a collapsing building. Picture her at 20. She walks past mirrors not to check for flaws, but to admire her power. At 30, she begins to study the details more closely. Lines at the corner of her eyes, softness along the jawline. At 40, the mirror becomes an adversary. She stares too long, haunted, rehearsing smiles, changing outfits, trying to summon a reflection that no longer appears. A man with average eyes sees his wife working on herself. A man with sharper vision sees Lombroso's insight unfolding in real time. He recognizes that what is happening is not self-improvement, but rebellion against mortality. It is the refusal to accept the verdict of time. The tragedy is that this battle can never be won. No serum, no surgery, no gym routine, no filter can resurrect what has passed. And yet billions of dollars are spent on this war every year. The cosmetic industry, the wellness industry, the app filters, all of them feed on this panic, selling the fantasy that beauty can be preserved. But reality remains merciless. Intelligent men see through this illusion. They do not mock, but they refuse to participate. They refuse to play the role of caretaker to someone raging against her own reflection. They choose peace over chaos. Now reflect on the cruel paradox. At 45, a man stands taller in his own worth. He has grown in resources, in wisdom, in control. Women who once overlooked him now pay attention. His aging is reframed as charm. His value compounds. At 45, a woman faces the opposite. She is told her desirability is behind her. Younger rivals eclipse her. Her value depreciates like currency in freefall. Lombroso catalogued the symptoms: bitterness, resentment, emotional manipulation. What was once affection becomes weaponized. What was once loyalty becomes leverage. These traits were always present, he argued, but beauty concealed them. Once beauty faded, the instincts emerged naked. This is not misogyny. This is pattern recognition. The intelligent man does not hate, he avoids. The average man lies to himself. He marries at 30, convinced that the woman who adored him then will remain unchanged at 50. He imagines permanence where biology guarantees volatility. He wakes up one day confused, betrayed, wondering how his devoted partner has become a stranger. The intelligent man does not fall into this trap. He studies history, psychology, and biology. He listens to the warnings whispered across generations. He observes not with malice, but with clarity. He recognizes that beauty is not only attraction, it is fuel. And once the fuel runs out, the engine behaves differently. This is the central insight. Aging does not transform women into something new. It reveals what was always there, hidden beneath the veil of beauty. And this is why intelligent men avoid older women, not out of cruelty, not out of shallowness, but out of foresight. They refuse to bind their lives to a storm they know is coming. They invest instead in what endures: discipline, strength, wisdom, achievement. Qualities time cannot strip away. You believed at first that her presence was a mystery, an unrepeatable spark, a divine accident. But now you begin to see that it is only a game of shadows, rehearsed, practiced, refined through endless repetitions with other men. Her timing, her silences, her playful cruelty, even her warmth, none of it arises spontaneously. It is a performance, a drama in which you are not the chosen one, but merely the latest audience member. Julius Evola warned of this dissolution of form, the point at which sacred Eros, once a path toward transcendence, collapses into spectacle. What once could have been a bridge to the divine has become a carnival, a parade of masks, endlessly shifting, endlessly repeating. And here is the cruel truth. The more you allow yourself to believe that this performance is unique to you, the more the mask tightens its hold. Listen closely. The gestures you mistook for intimacy are merely fragments from past acts. Every sigh, every tilt of the head, every moment of vulnerability you were allowed to glimpse, already rehearsed, already used, already discarded with another man. She is not adapting to you. She is dissolving into an endless sequence of adaptations. This is not intimacy. This is dissolution. Carl Jung saw this clearly in the archetype of the persona, the mask worn before others. Behind it, there is not always essence. Sometimes there is only emptiness. And when you press deeper, seeking truth, you will not find a hidden soul waiting to be revealed. You will find only more masks, a labyrinth without a center. At this point, you notice the cycle. Each new beginning is followed by the same acceleration, the same escalation, the same collapse. What seemed like fire is only friction. She will speak of her past lovers not with shame, but with a subtle pride, as though each was another stage upon which she perfected her performance. You thought you were the author of a new story. In reality, you were a character recast in an old play. Nietzsche spoke of the eternal recurrence, the possibility that all events might repeat infinitely. But here recurrence is no sublime challenge, it is parody. It is the recycling of gestures, of words, of seductions that mean nothing, precisely because they are infinitely repeatable. And the cruelest revelation is this: you are not resisting the recurrence, you are participating in it, eagerly stepping into a role that countless men have played before you. You thought she was independent. That was part of the intoxication. The image of a woman who needs no one, who moves freely, who answers only to herself. But this too is an illusion. Her so-called independence is nothing but dependence on validation, dependence on the endless gaze of others. Her circle of men, some from the past, some in the present, some waiting in the future, is not an accident. It is a marketplace. Every interaction is a transaction. Every smile has already been priced. And in the modern age, this market has expanded to infinity. Social media has made the stage boundless, the audience endless. You are not her sole confidant. You are not her secret companion. You are one more spectator in a theatre that never closes. Evola saw in this a symptom of decadence, the collapse of form, the dissolution of higher meaning, the reduction of what is sacred into what is merely entertaining. When the feminine principle is cut loose from transcendence, it becomes spectacle. If you are attentive, you will see the signs everywhere. Her language no longer seeks truth, but indulges in irony and cynicism. Passion is replaced by volatility. What you mistake for intensity is only instability. Jealousy appears not as love's vigilance, but as insecurity's cry. She cannot sit in silence because silence terrifies her. Stillness reveals the emptiness, and so she fills every space with noise, every quiet with chaos. This is the true mark of decadence, the incapacity to endure the weight of being, the refusal to face the void without distraction. And here, at last, the veil is torn away. What once seemed like a temple of intimacy is revealed as a carnival of desire. There is no longer any transcendence, no sacred Eros, no path toward the eternal. There is only the performance, the mask, the serpent's endless coil. The mystery is gone, replaced by spectacle. The feminine principle, instead of being the vessel of transcendence, has scattered into fragments, disconnected, restless, without form. The archetypes reveal themselves, the mask concealing the emptiness beneath, the serpent coiling endlessly in repetition, the mirror reflecting only appearances, never essence. This is not Eros, this is parody, this is the carnival of modern love. If you surrender here, you will be consumed. You will mistake repetition for destiny. You will confuse the carnival for eternity. And you will spend your strength, your will, your very essence chasing after performances that were never meant to lead you higher. Evola's judgment resounds like a hammer. Where there is no longer a higher principle, sex becomes amusement. And in that amusement, man is undone. He becomes a shadow of himself, drained of force, lost in endless distraction, unable to remember the path that leads upward. But there is always a choice. You can step out of the carnival. You can refuse the mask, the serpent, the mirror. You can reclaim Eros not as amusement, but as initiation. The question is whether you will have the strength to see through the performance, to endure the silence, and to seek the sacred once more. Will you step forward into the performance, another ghost in the cycle? Or will you turn away, reclaiming Eros as sacred, refusing to be devoured by decadence? The answer will define not only your relationships, but your very soul. And if this message resonates with you, if you feel the pull to see through illusions, to rise above the carnival and to seek truth rather than spectacle, then stay with this channel. Subscribe now so you don't lose your way back to these words. Share this with the few who are ready to hear, because most will not. For here we strip away masks. Here we speak of the truths men must face, no matter how unbearable. Here we reclaim Eros not as amusement, but as ascent. The carnival grows louder. The crowd swells. The serpent smiles in the mirror. But you do not have to dance. Choose differently. Choose consciously. And when you are ready for the next descent into truth, the next unveiling of illusion, the next warning, you will find it here. Subscribe, return, and step beyond the carnival